We should be online.
Yeah.
We're back.
So the first episodes for the current quarantine. No, actually, I'm lying because I tried to do the episode on Saturday morning, but I by mistake turned off my microphone. So now we're going to redo it. But this time it will be much better because Alexander and Harry are here, and it's going to be fun. So, guys, how's the quarantine going for you?
We're staying at home. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We're staying at home. That's all.
You know, all those memes about programmers that are in quarantine out or in the regular life, you know, like they're staying at home. It's so true right now. I mean, and with the whole office thing around Bulgaria, it's just I feel like I'm part of a meme for programmers, and you know, people.
Yeah, there's something like that. But well, there are benefits of the whole thing. I did some cleaning and redecorating that I've been planning to do for some long time.
Obviously,
there's that.
We also did spring cleaning, so at least that's good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, should we start?
Let's get wiped up.
Okay, so let me share my screen. Let me just reorder my desktops really quick and just remove what's not necessary for the episodes from my desktop. Okay. So where did we finish? Okay, you guys can see my screen, I hope. Oops, I didn't want to. Come on, Chrome. I just wanted to zoom in a little bit, but it zoomed too much on the console. So what we did last time was that we actually achieved rendering our components, right? This was huge, as Donald Trump says, huge.
Yeah.
But there is one issue, and we can actually discover this issue if we go, for example, to our test component and maybe just put a breakpoint here. The test component, it doesn't have, maybe just go to that component because it's the test component doesn't have a constructor, and I think that we have a constructor here. So what is the problem? The problem is that, for example, whenever we are creating the templates now, this is what we did in the lit HTML. So in the template, what we are doing is whenever we are generating the template, right? This is where the generation is happening. What we are doing is we're counting how many custom elements we have, and until we reach the count of all the custom elements, pretty much we do the instantiation, which is it should be somewhere here. Yeah. There it is. So we kind of check to see if the current element that we are on is a custom element, and we also have the context provided. And then we do a couple of things. But what the most important thing is that here we are constructing our custom component. And then we are pretty much replacing it here. We're replacing it inside the template tag. Just keep in mind that it's inside the template tag. And then we are just attaching some stuff to the custom component, and then we're replacing it inside the walker, right? Pretty much just replacing the old node with the new one. So everything, as you see, is working fine. But the problem is that currently, as you see, we don't have anything on the screen, but we are still in the process of developing of constructing our templates. So now, if I click play, it's, I think, yeah, this was not the best. This was not the best actually example, because we are the custom component is not being created from a template. We're actually creating it here in the Bootstrap, so the process is a little bit different. Yeah. Okay, let me just go to the test component and just show you what I'm talking about. So here inside the constructor, I'm just going to put a debugger, and hopefully it will break there. Yeah, so here, as you see, we're in the test2 component, so it's getting constructed. But now we actually, in the template, how many test components do we have? So we have 3 test components. Okay, so we should enter 3 times the constructor, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Why? Why are we entering 10 times? I think that they should be 6. I'm not sure why they're 10. Let's see.
The number 3 is really odd.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, there are 9 times. That means that we're constructing these components 3 times, right?
Each component is being constructed once for each component. It seems like that.
Yeah, well, it's just, I'm going to show the problem. Yeah, but it's strange, right?
Yeah.
At first I was like, okay, everything is working, but there is like this problem, and the problem is really interesting because even if I go, for example, here in the lit.html, it's actually super logical, but since you guys are not, you guys don't know what's happening still, I'm going to just I'm going to give you a hint so you can try guessing why it's not working. So let's say I'm going to provide here, whenever I'm constructing a component, this object, and I'm going to build the library and go back. So that means that whenever we entered here, let's say data, I just want to log it like that. Let's say the same. Okay, so let's refresh. Okay, now now it's undefined. Let me just refresh. I think it's still,
maybe it's not built yet.
Maybe because obviously I made the change, right?
Is everything saved properly?
Let me rebuild it quickly. I think it was just why is it not working? It's super strange.
Interesting.
Let me just try doing. I'm wondering why it's not working. Oops. I actually had to say yarn surf instead of building it a few times. Is there somewhere else we're actually constructing those? There shouldn't be because I reverted what I did last time. So we should only be creating them here. Oh yeah, I think I know what the problem is. So yeah, that's interesting, right? We don't have actually any components being like no data is passed to the constructor, right? And we also have the problem that it's called 3 or multiple times. Let's go inside the template instance and see why aren't we constructing the components, and how are these components getting created? This is the big question. Let's go inside the template, and yep, we should stop here, right? So we have no, we don't have a custom component yet. Okay, we have a custom component. Let's see the node. Okay, there's the node. Okay, we're getting the constructor, and we're calling okay. Oh yeah, I forgot that we actually are first entering the decorator, right? And inside the decorator, we're actually calling the constructor function. So yeah, the problem is here that we're not passing it whenever we're calling the target, right? Silly me. But anyways, that's good. We are having our data here, right? So let's say app module, we see test 1, 2, 3. Okay. So now I'm going to play a few more times. Okay, we enter the next component. Now we also have the data, and now we enter the next component, and we also have the data. Okay, and now we should assume that everything's ready, right?
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, we enter again the constructor. Why? We don't have any data. But why don't we have any data?
Probably somewhere where we are binding the values to the attributes, somewhere inside our like wrapper of lit HTML.
Let me go back a little bit. So I told you for you guys to remember what are we actually constructing, right? We are constructing the template.
Yep.
But how are we using those templates inside our custom components? This is the part where we actually saying attach shadow something. Let me go inside the decorator, and let's see what we are doing here. So we are saying, okay, attach shadow. We're getting the root, but here is where. But didn't we have like a simpler example of a web component somewhere? So, okay, let me just tell you so we don't waste any more time. So we're constructing the templates, but whenever we want to use this template, we need to clone it, right?
Yeah. So are they constructed again?
Yeah. So basically, what we are doing is we are constructing the custom components when we are constructing the template, right? But this template, it's actually just this simple tag, and then we pass it to the browser, and the browser himself starts creating those elements. And that's why we cannot pass any data to the constructor, because the browser is handling this creation of the elements. And that's the problem that we're having now, because we have to move this creation of the custom components from inside the lit HTML library from this place where is the template instance to actually the template and to the method called clone. Or no, it wasn't in the clone method. It's actually here in this part. You guys get it?
Yeah.
Getting the problem, but I don't get how are we going to solve this.
Sorry, I made a mistake. Inside the template instance, we have a clone method, and this is where we actually clone the template so it can get used to the other place. Sorry, Harry, what was your question?
I get the problem, but I don't get the solution right now. I mean, like
it's exactly the same, because here inside the clone we're doing exactly the same thing that we're actually doing inside the template.
Oh, right.
So we are pretty much iterating all over the nodes, and as you see, we're just handling the attribute expressions, exactly the same thing as what we're doing here. So what we should just do is just copy the code that we wrote from this thing to the other one.
Yeah.
That's all. And it will start working. Okay, let's start then. And I'm also going to remove the code here inside the template, so because it's not going to be used anyways, right?
Yeah.
So before we start, I actually created this regular expression that it's going to be much more useful for us because it matches the opening tags for the custom components, and it also matches the attributes. So as you see here, we have like a simple HTML tag that it's not being matched, but all the custom component ones are being matched. So from now on, I'm going to use this one because it's much better, at least I think so. So let's start with the lit HTML part and just put it somewhere in the util here and say export const custom element opening tag, something like that. So it's different than the other one.
Yep.
Okay, and now let's go and start moving the code. So I'm going to copy this part where we actually are. Let me just close this so it's better to see. I'm going to copy this part, and I'm going to put it here before we have the loop, right? And I'm also going to I'll have to import this mark. I think the mark is inside the template tag, so in the template file. So let's just say mark. And here, why is it complaining? It can be no. Okay, let's do a so then. But no, this is actually checking if this the current thing is no. This is not what we need. We are needing this the count. Sorry. Okay. This is the closing tag. Why are we counting only the closing tags? We should count the opening tags. So here we don't have the strings, but we do have the template, right? So if we get the template and the template element, what we can do is use the inner HTML to get all the things inside as an HTML, and we can match them with this regular expression just to understand how many custom elements we have, right? So let me just remove this, and let's start removing the code that it's not going to be used. Okay. For now, I'll remove only these things. So here, as in this place, what we are going to do is just extend this while loop with the count of the custom elements, right? And then we should, I don't know, continue like doing work, right? So let's copy this part where we actually are testing to see if the current node is a custom element. So where we should put it probably is somewhere here, right? So this is where we actually are getting a new node every time. So I think that this is a correct location where we can put it. Okay, so let's do something like that, and this custom element. Okay, and now probably we should do some kind of a if statement saying if it's a custom element, then we should do something with it. And if we have context as well. Okay, so if it's a custom element, the first thing that we should do is decrement, right? We don't want to we don't want to have like an error, because otherwise we'll just be iterating over and over.
I remember what happened with the without the declaration break.
We were entering this case and it was just exploding, so we want to just decrement here. And I think what we need to do is just copy these parts, right? I think this is what we need.
Sounds good enough.
Sorry?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, I think that this is what we need to do. It's just exactly the same. Pretty much we're replacing, getting the selector. We, from the declarations, are getting the constructor. And here we're just passing some data to the component instance. So this is really important if we want to be able to do our dependency injection, because otherwise it won't be possible for it to happen. And yeah, we're replacing the chat. Looks okay. I'll remove this thing. So I think this is all the new code we actually need to do. So let's remove these things here. We don't need this if statement, so we remove it. And now I have to remove a few other things that we have. First, this should be a const. And this context, it will also be a problem if I try to build it. So let me just try to build it so we can see what's going to happen. And now we are going to get this error that there are certain things that are not being used. So let's remove them here and also here on the top. Okay, let's build it. Okay, so now we have a few other problems that are located in the parts somewhere. Okay, so I'm going to close this and let's go to the parts. So inside the parts or just parts. Wait, where were they? Where were the issues?
Parts.ts.
Render options. No, it's inside the render is this first one. So inside the render, we need to remove something that we don't need. Come on, where is it? I cannot see it. Container options, template factory. Isn't in? Maybe it's in the template factory. Wait.
It may be stemming from there. I think we're having a connection issue.
Yep, it seems that I don't see Ilya to move, or I don't hear him.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, but you just dropped out for a second. You dropped out again right now.
I'm not out. I'm here. I'm just sitting.
You're back online.
Okay.
We're back.
Since you guys can hear me, I think everything's fine.
Yeah,
actually,
right.
I actually can open YouTube and just check to see if everything's visible. But
now it's okay. But a couple of seconds ago, you just froze for a while.
Okay. So what was the last time? What was the last thing that you heard?
We were in the template factory, I guess, to see what.
We just need to remove this context because it's not going to be used anymore here inside the template factory. So I think that this will fix the issues, but let's see. Probably there's going to be something else that is missing.
Yeah, so it's left somewhere. Okay, right now it's in the parts.
And context. Where are you? Context.
And over here.
Yep. Okay, and now hopefully it will be okay.
Let's hope so.
Okay, everything's fine. So let's see if now everything is going to get rendered. And also if we're going to have the data. This is the app component. And something failed, I think. We have an error. Yeah, probably we need to remove some stuff. Wait. Is it there?
Could be.
Let me just rebuild it. In components, no, in the decorators inside the component.
We deleted somewhere a context from the definition of a function, but we didn't delete the context from the place where we're calling it, I guess.
Let me just see where it is. It's inside the component TS line 40. This is the component TS line 40 is somewhere here.
Strange. That's 39.
Decorators components.
Yeah, this is what we are looking at. I'm not sure where on line 40 there is an issue.
So what's the issue? It expected 0 arguments but got 1.
Why context is not defined.
We should delete the context here.
In the parts, but we removed it. Why is it not? Is it somewhere? It's here as well. But we need it inside the template instance. We need it here. That's all. I removed it where it was not necessary. I mean, we still need it in the template instance, so that's why.
Yeah.
Hopefully it should work now.
Yep, hopefully. Refactoring skills.
Yeah.
And yes, we do have our components being rendered, which is very cool. And let's see in the decorator, the component decorator, that we also have our values. So here, this is the app component. So we are providing the app module. But here is where we need to have test 1, 2, 3. And also here we have to have test 1, 2, 3. And the third time, test 1, 2, 3. And that should be all.
Almost.
Almost. Why do we have so many? Okay, anyways, we still have why do we have so many components being constructed? I'm trying to figure out, but at least we are providing the values.
Yeah, that part's working. But
you know what?
Constructed. Was it 9 times again? Because I thought so.
Okay, let's remove this debugger here because it's very annoying, and let's see how many times the component is being constructed. So let's do at log point. No, we should. There was like a way to actually count how many times.
Both counts can do the thing inside the code, you know.
At conditional breakpoint, maybe somewhere there.
I think this is this is actually what we need. Yep. And now if I just do like so, we can see how many times it got created. 3 times. Ah.
Excuse me.
It's just 3 times. Okay, let's see.
Here, I mean, I don't believe that. What happened?
Okay, it's really 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is 3 times. Maybe the problem is inside the component decorator. Here. Okay, so this should be the app component.
Yeah. So this should be the test object. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the component decorator is being called.
I guess that's the right behavior, you know, because we move the logic so that we don't construct the components again. I mean, like we just added a flag to tell us if we already have this component, don't construct it again.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that the problem. Anyways, I'm not sure.
It's not a problem, I mean, because that's what we expected. I mean, like we extended our logic to just don't construct the components again. And actually, right now we're like constructing them once, and the browser is just going through them once more when it finds it in the templates, I guess, or something like that.
Probably.
But we achieved our target, I guess.
That's interesting. Yeah, probably something like that is happening. Yeah, we should debug it more. But just to be sure, since we already are passing the data, what we can do is just say, for example, here, let's say something like data, and let's say this dot data equal data, and inside the data, what were we passing?
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, but it's inside of a property, right?
Yeah, the property is called data.
And sure? If we are passing the data from the app component to the child.
So let's say something like test, and let's say test, context, not test. Oops, cannot read property.
We're not the data.
Exactly, the decorator, yeah. Okay, we need to say app module. It should be the module at a certain point. Here, we actually are going to be doing the dependency injection at a certain point. But for now, it's on this. So, okay, we have the test. Yeah, it's working perfect actually. Wait.
What?
We have twice the test in the template. I mean, it works.
Yep. How did I do that? Come on. How? Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It's working.
That's working as expected.
Everything's working. Okay, so that's cool. So next thing, what we want to do, I really don't like. So if we go inside the render, the work loop, currently what's happening is that whenever we call the first commit, a part of the component is being constructed, and on the next commit, the other part is being constructed. So this is something that's it's not very nice. So whenever, like, the best case scenario is whenever we're rendering the components for the first time, it will be best if we don't wait for example, to have an idle callback and then to have like a request animation frame just to push everything. Or maybe we can wait for a request animation frame, but let's just first do it. So let's first output everything. So my idea is to just, whenever we render everything, like for the first time, just to see everything, not certain parts appearing before the other ones, right?
Yeah, when
So-
make initial paint.
Yeah, so first, then we're not going to be calling this update here. And what we can do is pretty much get this. So when is actually this being rendered? Whenever this function is being called, the commit function. So what we can do is maybe move this to some kind of a const get. Some like function like so, and just return it here, right? And then we can just remove these parts here and just say return get commit component commit function, right?
Yep.
Or something like so, actually.
Yeah.
So then let's just do this here. Let's see what's going to happen. This should render everything at once. So let's put a breakpoint here. I'm not sure why it's so slow all of a sudden.
There are some errors in the console.
There are. No, this is old. I don't see my console on reload, so that's why. Okay, so I don't know. Chrome is a little bit slow, maybe because I'm screencasting. But anyways, okay. So here we're actually committing the work, and we see everything at once. So we don't have any delay. So this is what we actually wanted to achieve, right? So everything's cool. So next thing. Are you guys happy with what we created now?
Yeah.
I just realized that, this thing with the rendering everything at once, we had like struggled with it like 1 or 2 episodes like 1 month ago. And right now I'm just realizing that at last we're like having all the things that we like put as requirements for our thing. Like we render everything at once. We are going through the components just once. We have our own work loop and we have our own custom routing. And just we are left with the dependency injection, and we're pretty much done, I guess.
Well, it depends what features you want to add. It really depends because, for example, if you want to support certain like features that Angular has, for example, template reference variables and stuff like that, we will have to create some kind of our own parser that recognizes certain functionality and just does certain things, because otherwise it won't work. But it really depends how far you want to go.
But I have like the feeling of accomplishment inside me, like we are having something that actually works and is functional and it does what we want to do. And
yeah. So the only thing now, at least for the episode that we need to create, is to create this kind of like concept of virtual DOM, or some kind of like a tree structure that we can actually have a representation of our components that are so like inside our application. For example, to have the root component to have its children, and the children to have their own children and stuff like that. And why do we need that? Well, because whenever something changes, we want to do the change detection that it's called in Angular. So pretty much we want to re-render all the components, right? And yeah, this is something that we are. So why do we want to do this, right? So, for example, let's say that you have the root and you have a child component, and inside this child component, you're doing something asynchronously. And for example, let's say you have a set timeout, and it's happening after 5 seconds, and it's changing the value of the component. But inside the root component, you have a reference to this component, and inside the template of the root component, you're also rendering this variable from the bottom component, right?
Yeah.
So, but this variable in the bottom component changes, but the root component doesn't know that it changed, right? So doesn't know that it should re-render as well. So this is the idea of having the how do you call it, the change detection. So we can say, okay, something happened, just go from the top and just re-render everything that needs to get re-rendered, right? So inside, so this is what we're going to be doing for the next couple of minutes. It's not going to take a lot of time, but
the important part is everything that needs to be rendered, because recently I played some of the older frameworks for doing, the web, and I'm just opening the HTML, and each time when element changes, everything blinks, and I was using some kind of handlebars, and the HTML blinks the whole thing, it's like changing, and I'm just switching a button or something, and I'm like, what the fuck, where's the performance?
So, yeah, exactly. So we will actually see that only the parts that are changing are going to change. And why? Well, because we are actually using lit HTML. So the heavy lifting is basically already done, because lit HTML tracks if something needs to change or not. So all we need to do actually is just call the update function of the components, and that's all. So
we're calling for everyone, but after that, lit HTML handles the.
So remember what lit HTML was doing is pretty much getting the template and recognizes the dynamic parts. And whenever like you call the function, the update function on the current element, it already knows the dynamic parts, and it just calculates if these parts changed or didn't change. And if it didn't change, it doesn't re-render it, so everything's fine. Just maybe one thing will be a little bit different if it comes to our custom components, because currently we are actually constructing the custom components. So yeah, we have to check this. That's interesting. Maybe we will have to write some logic so in order to be able to have something like they have in Angular, how is it called? The on-push change detection strategy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we want to have something like that, probably we'll have to write some code. I'm not very sure. We have to check it out. But let's focus on the default behavior of Angular. Just it re-renders everything. So let's start simple, okay?
All right.
Okay, so first thing, let's create some kind of node. Let's call it, for example, render node or something like that. So let's create it here. So no, I thought that someone's calling, but it was just Slack. Okay, so let's say export class render node, and inside this class we are going to have a constructor, and I'm going to put all the properties to be public, because we can make them private anytime. So let's say instance. This is going to be the instance of our custom component. We're also going to have parent node. So the parent node is actually going to be a render node as well, or no, if it's the root component. And we also need to have children, right? So let's say public children. Let me just remove this. Okay, so children, and the children is just going to be a render node array. And by default, it's going to be just like an empty array. And that's all we need, right? This is going to be the node. So let's just create something called, for example, a render tree. So inside the render tree, what do we actually need? So the most important thing is to have the root node, right? So let's do something like so. Let's create const and export it render tree. And here inside the render tree, let me just create an interface first so we can actually be a little bit more TypeScripty and say that this render tree is going to implement this interface. Because whenever I'm constructing objects with the template literal, it's kind of hard to be able to put what kind of types we have, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's have a root. The root is going to be render node, right? Or no, because at a certain point, it's just going to be no, and by default is going to be a no. Okay, next thing, what do we need? We need some kind of a current node. Current node or current, let's say current render node, maybe current node. Let's say current node, render node. Okay, and the next things that we need, probably it's going to be very useful if we have all, like all the nodes, because this is going to be very easy to know if a certain render node was already registered or no. Maybe it's going to be useful. Let's see. Render node all. And what else do we need? So let's create this function, update nodes. It is going to be something like so. And now let's fill everything up. So the current node is also going to be no. And update nodes is just going to be a method that we that we basically just we need the O as well. Okay, and inside the update we just call O dot for each n dot instance dot underscore update. This is where actually the updating of, this is where we actually call again the render on the individual component, right? This is done. This is here. You can find it in the component decorator. It should be, there it is. Okay, so now what we need to do next is kind of modify the we need to modify the component decorator so we can actually register all our nodes, right? But the first thing that we need to do is go inside the bootstrap and just set up everything. So let's say render tree, and also let's say const root render node equals new render node. And here we need to provide the instance, which is this one, right? And the parent, of course, is no, because we don't need it. Currently, there's no parent, not that we don't need it.
Yeah, root is the root.
It's just the root, yes. And the root node, what we need to do is, of course, just say render tree equals root. It's going to be the root render node. And inside the root, and we also need to set it to the current node, right? because this is going to be used so we can actually attach all the components that are inside the component, inside the root component template to be inside the root component, the root render node children, right? Okay, so next part, this is the first step. Let me just do it like so it's more visible what we added. And then let's focus on the here. So what do we need to do? First, let's see if whenever we are kind of creating our component, so it should be here inside the constructor, let's first check if this component is already registered, right? So let's say existing render node equals render3 dot o.find. Even though, is there going to be a case? I'm not. This is why are we doing this? We cannot have a case where this is possible, right? I mean, because we never have this that it's going to be the same inside a constructor. So that this is this is absurd, right? So we don't need to do that. So let's say render node. Node equals new render node. And here what we need to provide is this is going to be the instance, and the parent, of course, is going to be the render3.current node. Okay?
Looks about right.
So now, what we need to do is say render3 dot render node dot parent node equals, and now we need to set the parent node to be equal to the
render3 current node.
Render3 current.
And also we need to update the render3 current node's children and add the new component.
Yeah.
If children currently.
Sorry?
Yep. So we need to say if render3 dot current node, or if it exists, because at a certain point it won't exist, right? Because in the bootstrap we are actually calling the create ourselves, and then we're not going to have any current node. So that means that inside the bootstrap we need to do the same. So we need to say no, we don't need to. We don't have a root here. So everything's fine here.
Very good.
So here we need to say render3 current node or parent node or whatever. Maybe parent node is going to be clear, better understandable if we put it like that, and say parent node dot children dot. I'm going to use push for now, even though I don't like it. And let's say render node. Okay, that's fine, right? Okay, let me just put it on one line, like so. And the next thing that we need to do, and also, I forgot. So what I was trying to say is that we need to also push it into the all, right?
I just have one question. If we are going to push all nodes anyways in the all nodes, and after that, when we say update, we are just iterating to all nodes, why do we care about the root, children, parent, and all the other types of nodes? I mean, if anyways on constructing a node, we are adding it to the all nodes, and whenever we want to update the nodes, we are either way iterating to all nodes. I mean, we just need to care about removing the node when we're destroying the component and adding the node when we're in the constructor,
Yeah, that's true. But otherwise, if we just use the O array, we won't be able to know exactly where this node is located.
Yeah.
We will probably be able to know because it will have a reference.
It has a parent.
It will have a reference to its parent, but if you want to say, okay, I want to get all the children of the current node, it's just going to be harder to do so.
Yeah,
You understand?
Yeah, I totally agree.
I mean, otherwise it's not memory inefficient, because, as you know, these are just references inside the array, right? So we don't have extra.
If we don't need those stuff, why do we care about it? I mean, if we just care about the change detection and running the change detection for all nodes. But yeah, what you said makes sense. If we want to have access to some part of the tree with components, and yeah.
I think the best example that I can give you is view child or view children of a current component. If we decide to say, okay, I want to have this decorator view child, it will be much easier, because we can just get from the render tree the instance, and we'll also have the children directly. Yeah, so I'm still not very sure, but let's just keep it. I mean, it's logical to have the tree structure. So yeah. Okay, and here I also forgot to say render tree dot all dot push. Render, no, what was it? Root render node. I think the best way is to actually have a few methods that we can add on the render tree, so we don't have to explicitly do all of these operations. But I think for now we can just continue like so. Okay. Anything else? Okay, so now is the tricky part, where we should actually where should we actually change the how do you call it, where should we change actually the current node? Where do you guys think that we should just change the current node?
Question?
Sorry?
That's a good question. It was making strange noise.
Why do we need to change the current node? I mean, like, we're creating a brand new node and we're attaching it to its parent. I mean, what do you mean, like, changing the current node?
Well, the render tree is one for the whole thing, and we have to change the current node when, for instance, if you have a component you attach to the root, then the current node is the root. But when you're adding children to that same node, that's the moment when you have to change the current node, so that the children that are created from that node have their parents set properly.
Yeah, I get it, because we're using the current node as a parent on line 31. Yeah.
But the question is, when do we know that we're going one level deeper?
Yeah, got.
So I think when are actually the children of the current component getting created? This is when this commit function is getting called, right?
Yep.
So what we probably need to do is just say something like so, and here instead of just returning it, we can just call it, we can just call it and then just say render tree dot current node equals render node, right? So whenever we call this function, if there are like things inside, then we just extract them, right?
Yeah, but this way, aren't we just taking a deep dive down the whole tree? And once we reach the end, for instance, we have two branches. By doing this, won't we just reach the end with one branch? But when will we start going the other way for the other components?
No, this is it's actually how do you call it? It's not depth first search.
Yeah.
Right. If we're talking, because if you have like a component if it's getting rendered, it will, I think so, it will first go on to the first level, and then it will go to the second. We're talking only about components, right? I mean,
Yeah.
let's do so and see if it's going to work. We can test it out and see, because I'm not really
It
sure.
really depends on how exactly it goes through the levels. Because if you, yeah, let's test it out, because right now we're just theorizing.
I'm not sure. Should we like clear the current node after we finish?
I think that this is a good idea.
I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. That's the fun. That's the fun thing about commit.js, right? We don't know.
I think, in my opinion, we shouldn't clean it. We shouldn't set it to no, and that actually should be the point where we just go back up. So we should set it to the node that it was beforehand. So meaning that the first component that's created, it will trigger the commit functions for everything else, and when everything is completed, the current node will return to the root node.
Or like something like current node, parent node, like so, right?
Yeah. Actually, current node, parent node should be the way to go, using our own.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds fine. I think. I don't know. Let's see what's going to happen. And I'm just wondering, where should, let's say, set timeout. I'm not sure where to log it, so I'm just going to create a set timeout. And after 3 seconds, I'm just going to say console.log.render3. Okay. And there is our render3. Can I move this? Okay, perfect. So, can I? Perfect. Okay. So we have our root, we have all of our nodes. That's good. Okay. But here inside children, we don't have anything. That's strange. Why there aren't any children inside the root node?
Are we pushing the children?
Yeah, we are.
We should. We should be.
I see where the problem is. Because we push the children only if the current node has a parent node. Look at the check if render node dot parent node, and the root node doesn't have a parent node. If you look at the logs.
Yeah, I understand what you mean, because whenever we're creating the. But wait, that should not be the case.
Wait, sorry. Actually, no. That shouldn't be the case here. You're correct.
Let's just debug it. Why are we just trying to figure it out? Component inside the decorators, and let's see what's happening. Yep. Refresh. So this is going to be the app component. So the app component, we are not going to push it anywhere, right?
Yep.
So I think let's just push this stuff here. Okay, so now we're in the commit function. This is because we actually call it here, correct?
Yep.
Inside the commit function, we just get the template node. Okay, return it. Wait a second.
Why did we go in?
Wait a second. I made a mistake here. We're not calling it here. Because I have to call it like so. So yeah. Const work equals this, and then work. No, it should be commit, right? And then we call the commit. Okay. Okay. Then we call. Okay, now probably it's going to be fine.
The instance, what's the current node?
It's okay, it's the root. And then we call it. Then the parent should be the root, okay. And now we're going to push the nodes. Yeah, now it's going to. Okay. And now
You're stopped on the breakpoint. It won't log in.
I didn't see it, sorry.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, and
Or maybe I just cleaned it.
could be.
There it is.
Okay.
Okay, so we have, again, it's not correct.
Wait, something has children.
Oh, that's really interesting. So the current node is the root node and it has children, but the first one it's different than the previous one. Oh yeah, yep. This is the problem. So here we need to check if we're in the bootstrap process, right?
New root node, right?
Yeah. So we need to say const is bootstrap, and the bootstrap is bootstrap function, right? So the bootstrap function will be true if we don't have a root. So the problem is this one, that inside the bootstrap we're setting everything up, right?
Yeah. It totally makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, it does, but okay, let's see it work.
So if it's a bootstrap, what we should just keep everything?
Well,
I think so.
The render node should be the current node if it's a bootstrap.
yeah, just the render node should be render3 current node if it's the bootstrap function, and should be the new node if it isn't. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure that will work, because in the case where we don't have a case where we don't have a root node, because we always have if we have a current node, then
No,
we have
we
a root.
case. It's here in the bootstrap. Because here we are creating the instance first and then we're creating the node. But maybe we should just remove this part then and just leave it inside the component decorator.
It should also work, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be better. So we create it here and we say, okay, if render render3 dot root does not exist, then this will be the root. Okay.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Okay, and then the logic it should
work.
Yeah, I think it should work as well. Let's just give it a whirl. And see what comes out.
remove this part then.
Yeah.
But no, I should not remove it. Wait, okay, so we're pushing it, we're getting this thing in the render node. So this is going to be the root. Yeah, everything should be fine now, I think. So let's just remove the things from the bootstrap and we're done, hopefully. So we don't need those things here. Are we going to push it in the O as well?
Well, where do we push stuff in?
I think
we should add that. I'm not sure. Maybe we should add that if it's not the render3 root, because the pushing of the render node worked fine up until now.
No, I moved it.
Yeah, but what I was saying is that the current logic that you've commented out in that file, we've moved it here in the if statement if there isn't a render3 root. But maybe just pushing it every time will suffice. We'll be all right.
Yeah.
I'm doing correct now.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Okay. And the root, yep, it has the 3 components. There they are. And also inside the O, we have correctly created everything. Nice.
That is great. Now let's try moving down the levels.
What do you mean?
Adding a component which has children. See if that works as well properly.
So let's go then, and we're going to use this HG test one.
Yeah.
I think it should be inside the definitions, right? Let's see our app module. We have it here. No, yeah, we have it. So let's see. You want us to use it here, right?
No, maybe we should add one instance of test1. In this instance of test1, we have two times the test2.
I'm just going to do this. Okay.
Work as well, yeah.
Oops, something broke. And I know what it was. Let's wait. Let's try with one. Something is breaking and is part active. Maybe we're breaking something inside. It's inside the template instance, but maybe we're. I'm not sure where is this breaking. Where's this function being used? It's inside here. Cannot read property index of undefined. Maybe, yeah, maybe we should just extend this to say if it's if it's defined, right? And then just do it. Where is this in the template instance? Here. So if we have the part and because this part index is getting yeah, let's do so. It's just every time we have because we're extending the loop here with the custom elements count, this part index is getting extended as well, and it's just falling into this thing where it's just breaking. So I'm just trying to quickly try to fix it. Do you guys get what I'm doing?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so as well. I hope that I know what I'm doing as well. Okay, so cannot read property index of undefined. Again, okay. This is where these parts here. Okay, let's say part and this thing. We have something else here. Okay, I think this will be okay. Let's just rebuild it. HTML, it's always fun.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Let's do 3.
Root. Okay, but here it's empty. Now, and we are also not rendering the. We're not rendering. Wait a second. Let me just see. Let me just pause here. What do we have inside the template? This dot template dot content. No, inner element dot inner HTML. Okay. But this is fine.
Looks fine as well, yeah.
For now, okay. Now let's see the next one. There it is.
Okay, test one.
Okay, let's see how many custom components we have. Okay, one is correct. Okay. Let's pause here. Is custom component false? Okay, let's pause whenever it's a custom component. And for some reason, we did not. No, we did not enter there once again. That's strange. That's strange. Why didn't we enter it there again?
So you check that we have the custom component like registered in our application where we are bootstrapping it, right?
Yeah, so if we go to HG1, this is the HG1, which is called test1 component, right?
Yep.
And inside the module, where is it? There it is. We have both.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay. This is going to be fun. Okay, so let's see. This is going to be the second template soon. This is it, right? Okay, we have one element. Let's debug. Okay, we have some stuff. We iterate. Wait a second. This is why we're missing it. Because this thing with this thing that is here, it should be inside the while loop, I think. Or no? No,
I'm not sure.
Oh, what do you think it's happening? I mean, like,
I think that we are skipping the components because currently all of the components that we're rendering, they had bindings. So when they have a binding, they have a part, and that's why we are entering this case here. But now, since as you see, the current node is test2, which is the text node. But now, if I go like so, now we're going to have. Now we have the text node, okay, and now on the next iteration, when we try to get the node here, wait, why is it the text node again? Okay, well, this text node is very annoying. So now when we get the next node, why are we still in the text node? What?
It's really strange.
so pretty much we assume that we have a problem with the test1 component because it doesn't have any bindings, right?
Yeah, if we can try to start with
Yeah, but that's super strange because as you see, we don't even end up getting this node. So currently we have the test2, and we have the next sibling, which is our custom component, but for some reason we don't ever reach it. I'm not sure how, but I think now the next node, it should just be our current component, right?
Actually, had we ever tested it with like nested components?
I think we did test it, but I'm not sure. Or we did test it a while ago.
It doesn't matter. It's not working now, so.
Yeah.
Okay, why are we not getting the next node? That's super strange. We are just sitting here, and we are not doing anything. And I'm just wondering, how do this thing end? How does it end, since this should never be true, right? Oh, because we're incrementing the part index. That's why it's ending. It gets incremented here. So
if there's no part, it should not be incremented, or?
We should just increment it here whenever we have like a part. Okay, let's see. Maybe this will fix things.
Let's see.
Because we're trying to use reuse the same loop, so it can also create our custom components. That's why. Okay. Actually, this is the first. So this is what we need, right? Yep, there it is. Our custom component. Okay, we come here, we do some stuff. We do some stuff with the text node. And now the node is the text node again.
Okay.
And then we continue. And now we should get the next nodes, or no? Wait, what happened? So part is undefined. That's why we are not entering here. I'm not getting the next node. So what if we do if part Walker next node?
Yeah, that could be a fix.
I'm telling you guys, after this episode, we should be professionals of in using like lit HTML. We should start contributing.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I really feel like I kind of understand everything, how it works.
Yeah, where you're getting the hang of how everything is constructed, and that's really cool.
I'm not sure.
I already got the hang of it, but I at least know where is what in their repository. I mean, the source code when at the beginning.
Getting, not got the hang of it. We're still in the process of getting it.
I think either we did something wrong or my browser is just, it's done for this moment. It's I might drop actually, because I'll have to probably kill my Chrome. Let's try to open another one. Yeah, definitely. It's some. Oh no. Cannot read properly. Okay, it is like. Okay. I think we're fine actually, because we end up in this case where we don't have this declaration. HG tests. Okay. So we fall and say HD test1 cannot read it from undefined. So yeah, the context is Do you guys see what's going on?
Yeah, but where should the context be passed properly? I remember we added the test 1 to 3, but
so we should merge like the whole application context with the data that we are passing, or?
So the problem is that here, whenever we're rendering, wait, where are we passing the context? Yeah, it's not being passed correctly. So that means that whenever we are rendering here, we actually need to pass the context. right?
Yeah.
And now everything should start working, hopefully. Do you guys have any picks for today?
Absolutely. I'm
Wow.
living in the pics.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, let's continue. I'm just going to put a conditional breakpoint and say, wait, let's put it here. Selector equals test1, wait, HG test1.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, we are here. Yep.
We have the selector and the AG1.
Yep. It looks fine. Yep. It works. It renders.
Let's see the. Can we just show in the console the actual render tree, how everything is connected properly?
Yep.
So okay, we have the 3 render nodes.
Yes, 7 in all nodes.
Great.
It's correct. It's correct. See, like we
And
have age root, age test 1.
And the current node is no.
And the current node, it's no because we went
That should be currently, because right now we're not doing anything. We've done the whole rendering process and we don't have a current node. We're back in the beginning.
Yeah, it's correct.
Oh, so
everything's correct.
Awesome.
Yeah, good work, guys. So we have only one thing left. We have a lot of things left, but let's do this as well. Let's also create. Let's also update the logic whenever something is changing. I mean, let's, for example, we have the detect changes, right, that we're using everywhere. At a certain point, we're going to start using Zone.js, so we can do this like without calling setters and getters, right? So let's change the logic how the detect changes works. Instead of calling the update here, let's call the render tree update nodes. So let's say render tree dot update nodes, and also here the same. Of course, this is not going to be the best way to do things, because probably we're going to have an extra update calls. But my idea for now is just to be able to, for example, do something like set a property inside the test2 component, for example, and render it inside the test1 template.
Yep.
Okay. So let's try to do this. So inside the test2, let's create. We actually have something, but no, I don't want this. Let's say my test prop, and let's say set timeout. This my test prop equals. So first, let's do it like so, maybe, and let's also add the detect changes, and let's say 2000. Okay, and we're going to say, okay, after 5 seconds, I want this to change. And we also had this function that we created a while ago. I'm not sure, not function, this directive that we created a while ago. I'm not sure if you remember it, but it was called useRef, right? So it's here somewhere in the directives. So what it does, it creates this like directive, and wait, where we use the create ref, and then we say use ref. Yeah. So I'm actually going to create this other function or directive just in order to be able to get a property from this reference. So let's say export const get ref prop, for example, and what we are going to have here is a directive, and inside this directive, what we need to get is the initial directive, right? Basically, pretty much as the bind. So we need to actually copy the bind. Just copy it, because the bind, what it did is it gets like the directive, and from the directive it gets the node. Pretty much we use this shared state, right? But here, instead of just getting the directive, I'm going to say selector, and this selector is going to be a function that it just returns, it gets the instance and returns anything. So here, what we are going to do is pretty much say selector and just apply the selector over the data, and actually the data is going to be the instance, right? So let's use this, and let's go inside the test1 component, or no, the test2 component, and let's just tidy up a little bit, because are you guys online still?
Yep.
You're so quiet. You are understanding what I'm trying to do, right? Or no?
I think that I get the idea, but I have kind of forgotten about those functions that you mentioned, and I'm like now waiting, expecting some magic to show on the screen.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's create a reference for our directive, which is going to be the HG test1. So let's say HG test1 ref, and let's say create ref. Okay, like so. And okay, come on, Visual Studio. Import from, and we should get it from the directives ref, create ref. Okay. Wait. Why is it called like so? It should be create. Like so. Okay, create ref. That's better. And here inside, what I want to do is also I need to use how did we use it? Something like data ref equals context dot my AG. Yeah. So what we do here is we create the directive, then we use the directive here, and whenever the directive gets executed, it sets the element, which is this one, inside the state, and now we want to use this like directive, like so. We can say get ref prop, right, and say context dot AG test1 ref, and here we can apply the selector, which is instance dot my test prop. But I had to do this in, wait, I had to do it here actually. Yeah, this test prop should not be here. This test prop should be in the other component, which is the test1.
Yeah, because we want to check if the test file will be updated when we change something in test2. Yeah, it makes sense.
I was like, what the hell am I doing? Okay. Okay, that's better. Actually, we should, yeah, we should have the detect changes. Otherwise, nothing will call the update. Okay, let's see. Yep, there it is.
Magic.
Did you get it? Let's watch it again.
Can you like open the elements tab in the Chrome?
Yeah, you want to see how it updates?
Yep.
Nice, huh?
Yeah.
Really is.
It's very efficient, huh?
Yeah.
Lit HTML, guys.
Yeah, I haven't been so excited for quite some time in this quarantine times.
Really
So
awesome.
yeah, the little joys.
Well, I think we're done for today. It's already an hour and a half, so I think that we're in our time frame. And I must say, it was a really cool episode. I don't know about you, but I'm
Yeah.
really excited about our front-end library.
It's really making progress.
Yeah, and
Seems like something that's working.
it's working.
Yeah.
Well, at a certain point, I was like, why did we start doing this? I was like, I'm not sure if we'll be able to actually create something, but as you see,
Yeah.
it's actually working.
Slowly but surely, we're getting there.
So just one thing that I want to add before we go to the picks. So for example, here you guys see these things like data ref something something, then something something. So at a certain point, if we want to be able to achieve maybe having template reference variables or something like that, it will be really cool because we can actually create our own parser for the templates, and so it can be actually creating those things instead of us writing it, right? So it's going to be really cool.
It will get
Right?
really interesting.
Because I can totally imagine having without not having this thing and just having, for example, HG tests one, right? And then just using HG test one, something like HG test one dot my test prop.
It's the way we know how it works, like the way that it's been implanted in us. So it's just natural to find a way to get it running like this.
Yeah, so it's going to be a really cool experience if we get to this point where we actually decide to create our own parser for the templates.
But you know what I'm saying right now? We should also create our own VS Code extension so it doesn't, like give us the compiler and stuff.
That's the next step. That's the commit.js utilities.
Yeah.
Commit.js language service.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. I think I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now, and let's just say a few words and just call it an episode, quarantine episode.
Yeah.
I'm just looking.
Who wants to start? I mean, like with saying few words.
Sorry.
Who wants to start? I mean, like.
Harry,
I'm just getting ready my basic pick.
All right, I'll start with my pick, and I hope that you haven't picked the same thing. My pick is like Angular version 9.1, which like fixes and some utilities. And one of the cool things is that Angular 9.1 will now support TypeScript 3.8, which means that this safe value accessor, the question mark, should be available in our Angular projects, which is pretty cool and excites me because we will not have, the standard JS workarounds like variable or variable dot something or variable dot something, and the safe accessing. Also, Iliya, you mentioned the Angular language service. They also have updates there, and actually right now, not right now, but after we update to the latest version, we'll be able to like write JavaScript in our templates, which is highlighted JavaScript, and it will feel more like real writing JavaScript, not HTML, in the tags that are the template variables. Yeah. But yeah, it will be cool, which means that soon probably we should update our projects to Angular version 9, and yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. I'm really excited to see what the performance boost is going to be.
And actually, they have one more pack of performance boost in version 9.1, which is related to the build times, which were kind of slow in version 9, in the initial release, because right now, they're compiling all your libraries and stuff so that they can further optimize it, but it was slow. I think that now it will be better, probably. Let's try.
That's cool. We should definitely check it out. I actually haven't been into checking what's happening with Angular since the 9 version was released, because I'm currently doing a course on Vue.js, and I'm kind of just in the Vue mood, even though I cannot wait to come back to the Angular mood, because
Come back home.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, like, for the people who are watching, I like everything that is JavaScript. I also enjoy like writing Vue. It has interesting and cool functionalities. Kind of what the things that I don't like is everything's mixed from. They took some stuff from React and some from Angular and from Angular JS, and it's like, I mean, it's kind of like not a very, I don't know, the API. This is what I don't like, but yeah, I mean, it's not a bad library. Definitely, you can write things very quickly, and it's yeah, it's nice. I enjoy it, but I prefer Angular. Even though Angular is much more complicated to learn, I really think that the Angular team needs to focus on simplifying the process, and they are really doing a good job actually of creating it easier to use. So I think that after maybe 1 year, probably things are going to be much easier to learn, right?
Because that's the main thing stopping people from starting off Angular, because it's a big stone to carry.
Yeah, but once you learn it, you can learn.
That's why I'm inclined for
Yeah, you learn Angular and then React and Vue and whatever. They're just so simple that you're like, oh, I already know that.
You know about the Jamstack?
The what?
The Jamstack. I mean, like, John gave a talk about Jamstack, which is pretty much you're writing just the front end and you're using some service as backend, for example, Firebase. And, you know, from my point of view, currently the Google team is like creating a whole stack for the web. So you have the Angular for the front end, you have Firebase for the backend. In between, you have a whole set of tools like currently you can deploy applications to Firebase, I think also to Azure and stuff directly from the CLI. I mean, they're working this direction. And I believe that, let's say, in the next year, all developers which are like kind of all right with writing JavaScript and some front-end framework, let's say, for example, Angular will go to the Jamstack instead of the popular now, like PHP, build me a site, drag and drop stuff. And they'll be able to do very nice and performant applications and integrate them without knowing like how to write one line of backend code or to Dockerize stuff. And it will be so simple in like a couple of months. And I think it will be a huge improvement for the whole environment and tech system. Yeah,
it's really cool.
I mean, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's probably, we'll see. I mean, the future is exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, Alexander, picks.
Well, I didn't really have a pick when we started off the whole thing, but there was one moment in the show reminded me of a tool I started using I think 1 or 2 months ago, which Harry showed me, and I saw an error that you had made, which this tool would prevent it. And this is the most simple tool ever. It's called it's a VS Code extension, and it's called code Spellcheck.
How?
And I can't write a comment, or
you can share your screen if you want.
Well, just a second. Okay. Should be sharing now.
We saw some guns. Don't tell me that you're getting prepared like the Americans.
No. I'm looking for it's. I play airsoft, so that's my excuse. So this is the simple extension, and as you can see here, what it does is it simply corrects you when you make a mistake somewhere. And I dare say, in our big project that we're doing, there were so many spell errors, and this simple.
Can you zoom in a bit?
Yeah, let me just show you a live example somewhere. So okay, so we have log parameters, for instance, and if I
probably should zoom a little bit because
yeah, let's give it a second. Okay. I have my variable, which is 1. But if I sorry?
I cannot see well. But anyways,
Let me just remove everything unnecessary. Is it okay now?
Harry, do you see it?
I see the error, but I don't see the actual name of the variable.
Just zoom in a little bit, man.
Even more, sorry.
Yep.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, that was better.
So the variable is called log parameters, but if I make a mistake, it's under there's underline. Okay, now it's complaining because I'm not using the variable, but over here it gives me suggestions of how exactly to update the spelling so that it's correct. And this resolves issues where you've named when creating, for instance, when creating the pipe or the given method, you've made a mistake. And
That's really. I'm going
sorry?
to install it. I'm going to install it right now.
But it's really, really useful. Like it really make a difference.
How is it called?
Let me just say, I wanted to send the link, but I've sent it in the private chat, but I'm not sure if I can post it in the comments.
Alexander had fight away.
He posted it in the comments and he got kicked out.
That was interesting.
Well, I tried logging in because I couldn't send a comment, and I guess when you try to log in, you leave the studio. So can one of you guys please send the link, because I don't want to leave the studio again. I've put it in the private chat.
There it is. I posted it.
Yeah, thanks. Technical difficulties.
Yeah, I just installed it. It's really cool too. Sometimes when I'm just like in a hurry, I often make mistakes like that. So
yeah. They're really easy to make, and the problem is that when, for instance, you create the service and you start using it, for instance, in some time, and you just write the word like it's supposed to be, and it stops working, and it's not working, and you're like, why? But this prevents those issues. And the code is more is using correct English, so that's a bonus.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I could write some JavaScript wife, and this tool is like saving my life a bunch of times, because when you split your code and you're like going pure vanilla JavaScript, the IntelliSense is not that good. When you create, when you have some kind of typo or something, you have to recompile the code, like go left and try to find where is the typo, and just losing time. So this tool is also very useful for those cases.
So now I have an idea for a tool that we can create. We can create a plugin for Visual Studio Code that connects to Google Translator, and it translates your method names to the language that you want. And not only everything, like variable names, everything. So for the people who are
in Bulgarian, that's within the life.
We can start writing like in Bulgarian or Chinese.
Like translate all of your application to Bulgarian. That would be a next level of obfuscation of the code, like uglifying it. Just you update every variable to be in Chinese or some language which is not you don't expect your users to know.
But this is like the next level of encryption.
Okay, guys, let's call it an episode. Actually, I have a pic, which is my T-shirt.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I bought it like I don't know, like 5 years ago from San Francisco, and I haven't worn it. So today I found it out. Like, yes,
This is
I'll
like
just wear it for the episode. Okay, well, it was a pleasure. Next time we can either do change detection or dependency injection. I don't know. Like we're going to
we'll make this.
we'll choose something. Maybe we'll choose something. But when are we going to do it? Do you guys have any suggestions?
my schedule is pretty busy right now, and I'm not sure. I have to check my calendar because I'm going out left and right all the time.
I don't know. Then we can do it either. Maybe we can do it this week. I don't know. It's sometime or next week. I don't know. Okay, well, guys, if you're watching this episode, just go into the YouTube channel, subscribe. Very important. We're missing only 5 subscribers, and then we can have like a custom, a unique ID, YouTube ID. So please subscribe, and you can just follow us to get notified when we're actually going to do the next episode. But I don't know. I'm super excited. I mean, we did really good progress today.
Yeah, we're definitely moving forward. Like, and the important thing is we're leaving it in a working state, because the past few episodes we were leaving it in a partially working state. So now it's.
And like 10 minutes after the video, we have the solution for that.
Yeah. So now I'm going to rename the repository that is currently called commit 8 to commit 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Because we have been writing in this single. It's not a repository in this single. Yeah, I think it's a single repository actually. It's not a directory. But anyways,
it's single repo. Yeah.
Just have an idea. If you want to get the code, just check commit 8 inside the GitHub of commit.js. Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much, and see you soon. Bye bye.
Bye guys.